UWF.
Thank you. Well, I have Kyle Hamner to my right. He's a senior this year. He's been with us since his freshman year as our starting catcher. We're looking forward to him to leading our staff this year, and he's done a great job with that. His defensive skills and his throwing arm are probably one of the best in the Southeast, and we're looking for him to make the next step in his offense, and he's continued to do that, and we're looking forward to his leadership, and we're certainly glad to have him behind the plate, giving our pitchers confidence. To my left, Brandon Nagem, local Pensacola product from Pine Forest High School, was with us last year as a transfer from Northwest Florida State. He was our conference pitcher of the year and South Region pitcher of the year, and All-American, had a great year for us. And he was a stabilizing force in our rotation, and you really need your starting pitchers to give you consistent starts, to give your team confidence, especially in 3-game series that we play. And he kind of started that first game for us, and look for him to do that again in each conference set. And it's just a matter of him staying healthy and trying to do what he does and locate, and we're looking forward to him being back on the mound, and these two guys being the 1-2 battery mates on the mound and behind the plate is a great starting point for our season. We do have a lot of players back. Brian had mentioned we have 7 returning out of 9 starters, although there may be a couple that won't be in the starting lineup on opening day. We've got some newcomers that have had some really good fall and spring early for us that we think is going to enhance our offense, and that's where we felt we definitely needed improvement from last year. We've been fairly consistent pitching and catching, defending the ball the last several years, and really if we can add in the third piece of the offense, we feel like this is a year to really contend for a championship, especially with the senior leadership that we have, along with Kyle and Brandon. I think we have 9 other seniors that have really, wanted to make the next step and helping be good leaders and mentors and changing the culture of our program in terms of letting that be, as we've talked about, their legacy after they've left, showing the, guys that'll be seniors next year how the way we like to lead and how they can take an investment and ownership in the program, because, we as coaches, we can do the X's and O's, but it all comes down to the players and what they do on the field. And if we can give them a good base from which to start and give them the parameters we feel that will help them be successful and instill, the discipline and hard work ethic and the selflessness and being accountable and all those things, those key words you talk about, they are important. You hear them a lot, but they are important, and it's just about getting our guys to live that every day. And it's been a big difference, I think, and these guys can tell you this year compared to last year. We had a solid season, but we struggled with that consistency of being a unit 100% of the time. And, in any sport, it's tough dealing with the struggles and the adversities. It's always easy when we're doing well, and especially as an individual. And we talk a lot about them preparing themselves of how they're going to, respond during the adverse times. And the way they respond during those times is what's going to determine really the total outcome and the success of our season, so that we don't stay in a slump, or they don't stay in a slump as an individual for very long. And so we're really looking forward to this season. You're always optimistic this time of year, and this season, more than any, is probably going to be our greatest challenge in terms of we have, for the first time, more road games than home games. And that's kind of a product of bad weather, where we were supposed to go to Union University last year, and the bad weather forced them to come here. So we have more conference road games than any other team, and just kind of the rotation of home and away we do with some of the non-cons. We have 26 road and only 24 at home, and that was our Achilles heel last year. You talk about last year, and really it's a totally different team, but a lot of returners. But out of our 18 losses, 13 were on the road. 5 or 6 of those were last inning or extra inning losses, and we just kind of couldn't get over that hump on the road. We've been really good at home, our hashtag defending the spoon, taking pride in that. But now this year we've kind of really been hammering, if we're going to win a championship, compete for a championship, be the team we want to be, we've got to show some true grit and learn to win on the road and get comfortable at these other ballparks. And by the support of our staff and administration and Dr. Bentz, and I think a lot of the coaches here will tell you, I mean, our facility is probably one of the best in the conference in terms of surface and those type of things, and I think our players get a little bit spoiled. Some of these other schools, especially in baseball, maybe don't take care of the field as well as we do or take the pride in it. And when you got a hard ball and it's bouncing into divots and unlevel lips and clay, and you kind of, got to get yourself prepared for that, and that's what we've been talking about. So we're really looking forward to the season. We got a great challenge in front of us, playing the defending national champs Tampa second weekend, and it's kind of always been my motto: play the best, especially early. Find out what you need to do to improve, see where you need to go, and if you're going to be a contender, no better time to prove it early on.
You all were ranked second in preseason polls. What kind of goals does that set for the team for the rest of the season?
Well, I think the rankings are, kind of subjective and opinionated and really based off of what you've done in the past and maybe, what they see we have coming back. It's certainly nice, and I think we had 4 first-place votes, and West Al had 4 first place, but it's really insignificant, starting the season. The guys know I'll mention it. I don't know how much motivation it serves. Our goal is to try to, host the regional and be the number 1 seed, and this is the second year that the number 1 seed from the regular season conference can host the conference tournament, so we have 2 opportunities to host and let our guys sleep in their own bed and play on the field they love to play on. So that's our number 1 goal, and where we start is certainly not going to be indicative of where we want to finish.
Coach or any of the guys, how beneficial is it to play a team like Tampa early in the year and before you get into your conference schedule later on?
Well, I know Coach Sear in the weight room, and I haven't mentioned it much, but during the fall, at the end of our fall team challenge, Road to Carry, I think we called it, Coach Sear had printouts on every station in the weight room of Tampa dogpiling winning the national championship last year. So I think he's been subliminally, pumping them for Tampa. But, that's one of those things where you have to be very careful. It's only 3 games, and you don't want to build that up to be the end-all, be-all and base your season off of if we win them or lose them. But you can't deny the fact to the players. They know who they are, and they're going to be really excited for it. What you hope is, you can continue motivating them to be that excited every weekend. But they know who Tampa is, and we certainly are looking forward to it.
Coach,
you guys got anything to say about Tampa? I think he asked the question. So,
over the last couple of years in baseball, you've seen a big change in the game, especially at the major league level. Now they have a lot more video and game film, but with shifting on athletes, when you see the guys playing up the middle, is that been implemented at your level yet, or is that something when you play a team once, you look into the second time on a certain player?
In terms of scouting
in
them?
terms of scouting the shift, because the numbers are showing that a lot of guys, you see a line drive up the middle and it's out now because they've done the numbers.
Yeah, well, it really hasn't come into play in the college game because you're talking about a 162-game professional season where they're getting over 500 at-bats. You can look at the stats here from our top guys of how many ABs they had last year, and then you're talking about, depending on other schools to give you the correct information that are your opponents, it's really not in your favor to know for sure that shift is going to be definite. We certainly shade, but as far as pulling an infielder from one side of second base to the other, I haven't seen that implemented in college yet. We certainly have seen some dead pull guys or what have you that we're pretty confident it's going to be on one side of the bag or the other, but not confident enough to implement that. I just think we don't play enough games. We used to play 56 NCAA, and I guess the college presidents thought that was too many and reduced us to 50. But this game is, really built around failure, as you know, and the reason the game was developed and built around a certain number of games is because of the at-bats that you need and reps you need to really gauge how good a player is as well as how good a team is. And so it's made it more difficult where you don't have as much room for error throughout a season. So that's kind of been the motto: every game matters, every game counts when you want to be the best in the region.
Your style, when you look at it, you obviously have a great rotation coming back with Brandon and the guys. When you look at power compared to playing more of a small ball, how would you look at your hitting during the season?
I think we definitely have more offensive potential doubles, home runs wise than we did a year ago. And, you know, as a coach, and I try to explain it to the players, I don't want to be one dimensional. But we have to be prepared to beat a team more than one way. And if they've got a great arm on the mound that day and he's shutting us down, we've got to be able to bunt guys over and get a run in from third when there's less than 2 outs and, play that small game, if you will, willing to give yourself up to get a ball in play. But like I tell them, I'd love nothing more than to sit back and never have to put a bunt on. And, we're just hitting balls off the wall. But reality, that's tough to do. But I think, we've got potential to do that, certainly more than last year. And that comes with depth. And we certainly have more depth with options. And that's a great thing for a coach, but it also can be a difficult thing trying to manage that and get the guys in there and bring value to them and trying to find the right pieces where they can complement each other and keeping the guys engaged so they don't shut it down because they've assumed they hadn't played for 5 games, they're never going to play. And so we're going to try to mix those guys in, and they deserve it. We got a lot of competition. We got 6 outfielders that all have a lot of potential, and same with the infield. And then we've got 10, 12 quality arms. So it's the good and the bad, but you have to prepare for the unexpected, which, we always get nicks and bruises, and you hope you avoid the big injury. That's where the piece that we're really hoping is going to step up this year is the offense.
For either of the student athletes, can you guys just talk about the fall and how that went for you guys and finished with the World Series and stuff?
Finished up the fall with the carry challenge, which was something we've never done before in my 4 years here. It was kind of like an obstacle course where there was 3 days of it, and you just did 3 different exercise workout challenges, split up to 4 teams, and from there just competed in obstacles, and that's how we finished out the fall. I thought it was a pretty good fall. I feel like the chemistry's pretty good with the team. I think we're going to be able to do a lot of different things this year that we couldn't do last year, and look forward to having a pretty good year this year.
Brandon, can you just talk about your second year? I mean, obviously, the Gulf South Conference was brand new to you last year. You talked about stepping in and kind of having a little bit more of an idea of how Coach Jeffcoat wants you to do things and just kind of understanding the conference a little bit more here in your second year.
The conference was definitely new last year and a little bit tougher than coming from JUCO. Developing with Coach Jeffcoat and working on different parts of my game and understanding that it was fun last year, but like you said, we didn't get where we wanted to be, and hopefully get there this year.